Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in once more. In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic of walk-ins. Also in this week's show, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel in order for spirit to bring their communications and wisdoms through. And then later on in this episode, we have this week's forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. So as I say, we're going to be talking about today walk-ins. So what am I talking about by saying that title? Basically, walk-ins are the blending of spiritual energy along with us, a willing human vessel. And it's this combination of the two combined that creates a walk-in, an experience where spirit slip in and communicate through us. It's a very peculiar experience when you do happen to go through this. And in my personal belief, I believe most people have had this experience at some point in their life, whether this is from their higher self, a spirit guide, or maybe a loved one or ancestor, or a complete stranger from the world of energy, from the world of spirit, moving and communicating through them. Now, what happens is when this occurs, they can take over our voice and they can bring forward communications and information that we have no knowledge about or any intention of saying. They just happen to speak through us. And also what they can do is obviously change our voice, our mannerisms as well, our facial expressions, our body language, and also our actions. They can actually control our physical limbs and get us moving into certain locations when we don't have any knowledge of doing that or any intention of doing that. So it can be similar to a channeling session, except in my experience, a channeling session is with intention, with purity, and with setting the right circumstances, the location, the vibrations, heightening the vibrations, setting boundaries with spirit, also setting, like I say, positive intentions, and also creating that safe space for channeling to occur. Whereas a walking can happen anywhere you happen to be, whatever situation you happen to be in, it can occur. And like we said earlier, this is because on some level you will be a willing vessel. So there'll be part of your subconscious mind maybe that is more open and susceptible to this outside influence working its way through you. So I feel on some level you've agreed for this this communication, this form of walking to have permission to do this. Whether this permission was granted before you even incarnated here onto the earth plane, that's maybe to be discussed on a further level. I don't know, but you would have given permission on some level, definitely. And like we were saying, I believe, it's my personal opinion, that most of us have had this experience without even realizing that this is what was occurring, that we were being, shall we say, manipulated in some way, shape or form, not maliciously, but just, blending of energy, blending of spirit communications. Like we said, it could even be your higher self stepping in to give you some sort of assistance. It may be the fact that one of the versions of yourself, now this is getting deep now, as I've mentioned on other previous episodes, we are all multiple dimensional beings and we have soul fractals. So when we make one decision, we move on that timeline, yet the other decisions that were available to us at that moment in time are versions of ourselves. Now, I believe these soul fractals also have the potentiality to walk in and maybe influence us in some way, shape, or form for our highest good in order for us to walk on a higher timeline. Potentially, this could be because, again, we're getting deep. Time, everything is happening here in the now, everything. So all of your experiences, whether you've had them or whether you're not have experienced them as yet, are happening in the now. So my belief also is one of these soul fractals potentially could be communicating through you without any wisdom or knowledge of this happening. Now, regarding this, when we've had this experience, personally, I've had this where I've been speaking to people and in an engaging conversation, and the next minute, I'm aware that I'm speaking, and then I see their face change quite dramatically. And they look at me like I've said something really either peculiar to me as an individual, something out of character to me, and they're looking at me gone out. And they'll then say, well, what do you mean by that? And I would reply, mean by what? What do you mean? And then they reiterate what I've just said. And I'd say, I've got no knowledge of saying that. I can't remember saying that at all. No, I didn't say that. And then you would argue the fact that you didn't say these words. And they would say, you did. You said this, 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 and this. And then you just have to make your apologies because you have no memory of saying those words. And to me, in my personal experience, this is where a walk-in has come in. Information that needs to come forward. Maybe it is a spirit that's just trying their luck or just testing you as a vessel to see if you're compatible. And there may be information, whether that information is quite shocking to the individuals that are listening, that needs to be shared with them, whether they like it or not. Almost as if it's a message coming through for them. Obviously, it has nothing of value to you as an individual, so you're not going to remember it. Why would you need to remember it? It's not for you. But I've certainly had this experience many, many times in having just normal conversations, day-to-day conversations, and this happens. And I'm sure for many of you that are listening, you've also gone through this experience yourself on some level, shape or form. It's most peculiar when it does happen. Also, you may have been told by friends or colleagues that your personality has changed. You're a little bit different today. What are you feeling? Okay? Are you all right? Maybe you start to say things out of character. Maybe your facial expressions aren't you. You may notice, they may notice, should I say, that your body language has changed. You may come across quite aggressive or even more confident than perhaps you usually are on a day-to-day basis. Again, potentially, this could be a walk-in, just blending in with your energy and having a go with what they can work with you as a vessel. But those of your friends and family that are paying attention will notice these little nuances of change within you. And I'm sure most of you that are listening have had that said to you many times before. And you can't quite put your finger on it. No, nothing's changed. I'm fine. I'm good. No, I'm not angry. I'm not fed up or anything like that. Yet they're picking up that vibration. I would certainly suggest that it is a spirit or a communicator of some way, shape or form. Like I say, blending in with your energy and projecting out those that information out to those individuals. What I would say with having walk-ins is they're very delicate, they're very subtle, to the point where you have a form of amnesia and you don't recall any of the information that you've exchanged or the sensation. You just happen to see the before the walk-in conversation that you're having. And then all of a sudden, like I say, you see the facial expressions change of those individuals. And then you hear the feedback afterwards. The information itself, you have no recollection of. You don't recall behaving any differently. It's almost as if somebody has placed you on pause or taken you out of yourself for a split second while that information has been exchanged. So to you as an individual, nothing's changed. Everything's the same. But obviously there has been a change with this walk-in. And again, this is an experience that I've had a few times where I've been having conversations with people, just generally chit-chatting. And then, unknowing to me, one of their loved ones from the world of spirit has walked in and has used me as a vessel in order to get a message through to them that they need to hear at this moment in time. Maybe the conversation starts to go down an avenue where it talks about various things that this loved one in spirit used to do, or maybe objects or items of clothing or food that is connected to this this loved one in spirit that's blending through. And with them saying that, because obviously I have no knowledge of this happening at the time, like I say, it's almost as if you're taken out of the room or placed on pause, then that will then cause a trigger within that individual that's listening to that information that this walking is giving to them. And it instantly triggers a memory of that loved one in spirit. And, how they passed and how long it is when they did pass, and maybe the times that they shared together, those beautiful memories will start to come to the surface. And this is when me as an individual, I'm back in my body again. And again, I'm witnessing them looking a little bit peculiar, the people that I'm talking to, a little bit shocked. And they're saying, yeah, you know what you said a minute ago about this? And I'd say, Did I say that? Yes, you was talking about this, that, and the other. Well, my granddad, he used to do that, and he had this, and he did this. And funnily enough, he passed away like 6 years ago today. And it's quite unusual that you happen to mention that today. So I've had situations like that in the past. And again, I don't believe in accidents. I believe that this is a synchronistic shall we say, exchange where this individual from spirit has been given permission on some level, either from myself or my guides, to blend and come through, have a walking experience in order to let that individual know, their relative, that they're doing well, they're fine, and also to remind them of the fact that they're still around with those triggers, with that bit of information that's being exchanged to them. And then, in my experience, witnessing those people I'm talking to, they go away smiling, they go away happy. It's almost as if a form of healing has taken place as a result of them hearing that information. For me personally, like I've said previously, I'm none the wiser what I've just said. To me, it's almost as if I've been placed on pause, and then I've come back to witness how they look and how they appear after that information exchange. So I've had that a few times, and I'm sure on some level, most of you listening out there will have done something similar without even realizing. Again, it's not something, for me when it happens, I'm not particularly conscious of this happening. It's only after the event when I analyze and get the feedback from people what has actually occurred, and then I backtrack and think, well, actually, I can't remember any of that. And they assure me that I was speaking and I was seeing this and I was seeing that. So yeah, it's a very peculiar experience, yet it's very, I would say, healing in most cases, inspirational in most cases, and it can come out of the blue. I mean, you don't see it coming, you don't expect it coming, you don't get, me as a spiritual medium, and those of you that are listening that are also mediums and incredibly sensitive, usually when spirit's around, you get like a tingling sensation, electrostatic tingling sensation down your spine, and there's a change in atmosphere. Maybe you get the hair standing up on the back of your neck or your arms there, again to let you know that the spirit are close. But in my experience with a walk-in, it happens without any of those hints that spirit are around, and it's most peculiar. I would say the difference between this and a channeling is when you go into a form of meditation, you relax your breathing, and you take a side swipe away from your physical body. So it's almost as if you step back and you consciously allow spirit to blend and move into you as a vessel. And whilst this is occurring, in my experience, I can either hear the words being spoken, but to me it sounds like bah, 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 bah. I've got no knowledge of the information being exchanged. I can't remember what was said or who was saying it for that matter, but I'm aware that something's going off. Whereas that is done intentionally, that is done with love, with peace, with also protection in a safe, guarded, high vibrational environment. So all those preparations have been made. Yet in a walk-in, there is no hint, there's no intention, there's not even an inkling that this is about to occur. There's no energy building up or anything. It's almost as if you're, like I say, moved out of your body very quickly, and you're saying a conversation and then you're finishing it off and you can't remember the bits in between that you've said. It is so peculiar, and I'm sure many of you listening have had something similar happen to you, at least once within your lifetime, definitely. If not, then you're more than likely will experience it at some point. It is very, very profound when it does occur. Also, what I have noticed as well is the fact if you're in an environment where it is spiritually charged, lots of energy, lots of residual energy, lots of strange, peculiar happenings, like a haunted building or, a location that contains a lot of emotion, something like that, then spirit will, I would say, if they're given the opportunity, if they can, they will find somebody within that group when you're visiting that location to perhaps have a go and do a walk-in where they can, again, impart their information, their characteristics, and bring that through that individual. Now, I've seen this, I think I've seen it once on a paranormal investigation where a walk-in just happened to step into this young lady who was very mild-mannered. She was a lovely, quiet, respectful girl. I say girl, she would probably be in her early 20s. And all of a sudden, her personality started to change. She started growling. She also was shaking. She was moving her arms. She was being quite aggressive. Her facial expressions were not very desirable at all. She looked very angered, very frustrated, and kept shouting obscenities and also shouting little bits of information in between that. And it was quite disturbing, I've got to be honest, when I experienced that. And it took, I would say, 4 mediums, one of them being myself, to gather around her in a circle to calm her vibration down in order to get her back into herself and grounded. And whatever this entity or energy was trying to communicate through them was then removed from them and released. It was a very crazy time. But with this situation, I'll be honest with you, I was an observer. I wasn't the channel in this regard. You did feel the energy of the room change. It dropped. It went really dark. It felt really, really sort of negative, and you could just feel like something was about to kick off. And then all of a sudden, this lady, like I say, she was quiet, just a regular member of the public, just changed all of a sudden, and it escalated very quickly as well. This is where we stepped in as 4 mediums circling her to get her back into her physical body there, and this entity or energy removed from her. But what I feel, why these things happen on these type of events, if you can imagine, some of these lost souls and spirits, they've been in that location, in that dimension where they're communicating from for eons in time. And you can imagine that level of frustration, not being able to communicate how you're feeling, not being able to express, maybe show remorse, just have some form of exchange with what you're experiencing in order to release some of those energies that you've been holding on to for eons of time. So in my experience and what I've witnessed, I feel that spirit sometimes will take this opportunity to have a walk in order to express themselves, and in doing so, release some of these energetic burdens that are maybe keeping them stuck in that environment or in that dimension that they happen to be stuck in. And usually, with a little bit of encouragement, they will leave that environment and they will then make their journey elsewhere, wherever they're inspired to move on to. But it's a form of releasement, letting them go from that environment, from that dimension in which they're trapped and stuck in. So I feel as though they do that for that reason, because they see the light, they see our vibration as humans, and particularly those that are more susceptible, more sensitive to energies and communication with other dimensions there. They will instantly feel and witness their vibration and lock into it and try and find a way in order to either take over that vessel, to bring their communications through so that they can then release themselves, like I say, from that atmosphere, from that dimension. It's a peculiar experience, definitely. I've witnessed it a few times. I've nearly encountered it on a paranormal investigation, but I've had the insight to know what was happening on this occasion, where I asked my spirit guide to tell them to step back, to place me in a ball of protection, then not welcome in. And I wasn't comfortable about doing that on a paranormal investigation. Again, with this on a paranormal investigation, I had that I could feel the energy building up. Not like the previous description of a walk-in that I've had the experience of, where I had no inclination that it was about to occur. That was a more positive experience, where the negative ones, I felt the energy building up. So I don't know whether that is my spirit guide and my spirit team giving me that pre-warning, because it is of a negative nature. They're giving me that opportunity to maybe set my boundaries, to say no, to not allow, or just to have a direct communication with them, as opposed to a walk-in or a channeling of some description, because of the sensitive nature and the different vibration, the lower base frequencies that they're trying to emit into me as a physical vessel. I don't know whether that's the case, but I've certainly been very close to having that experience in some of these paranormal locations. So it's a fascinating experience. But what you will find is, if you have had a walk-in, you will notice that you'll start to feel a little bit drained, maybe a little bit tired. You'll start to yawn. You may experience, depending upon the nature of the spirit, of the energy that's making that blend with you, you may experience having a headache of some kind, feeling a little bit dizzy, a little bit lightheaded. Also feeling sick as well, like you need to vomit, and just that unease and that uncomfortability in the physical body. And also feeling unmotivated, like not wanting to do anything after having this experience, like just leave me alone. I just need a minute, I need to get some fresh air, I need to go out. You may even notice how heavy your physical body suddenly starts to feel after having an experience of a walk-in there. And you may feel a little bit disorientated, should I say, and unaware of spatial awareness in your surroundings. Maybe you may feel a little bit confused after having one of these encounters there. But as I said previously, the majority of encounters that I was having, I had no knowledge. I didn't have any pre-warning that these were going to happen, the positive ones, that is. I didn't experience any sickness particularly. I just felt a little bit spaced out, and again, unaware of my spatial awareness as well, and just feeling a little bit, I would say, a little bit lightheaded after I've had one of these experiences. So, it's most peculiar. It's most peculiar. But what I would like to do is share one of the experiences that I've had that stuck out in my mind. And it's a most peculiar one. And this was the very first one I ever had of a walk-in. And this was before I fully opened up on the level that I have now with spirit. It's in the early stages of me understanding that I had these abilities. And I just became aware of, I would say, the chakra system opening up and closing down. And this is when I had the experience. I'd be about 18. I'd be at work at that time. And with the work that I was doing, there were some colourful characters that I used to work alongside of. And there was one particular young gentleman that had the characteristics of somebody that would like to wind people up, like to get one over people, like to come out on top financially, and like to rub people's noses in it and just be generally a little bit sneaky. And I'm sure, I'm not judging by saying this, but I'm sure most of you listening to this will know somebody like that or would have had an experience of somebody with those characteristic traits there. So anyway, just setting the scene, I was having this conversation with this work colleague, and I'm talking away. I forget what we was talking about now. I'm sure it was either something to do with work or what he was doing over the weekend. And this gentleman, just to describe him to you, he had rather a large nose. And again, I'm not being judgmental by saying this, but he had a rather large nose and very prominent feature on him as well. And anyway, we're chatting away. The next minute, I see him bent over and he's holding his nose, he's holding his face. And then he comes up with his eyes watering and he says, "What did you do that for?" And I replied, "Do what? I haven't done anything. Why? What's the matter?" And he says, "Yes, you have. You've just thrown that roll of tape at me." And I said, "No, I haven't. I haven't moved. I haven't thrown any roll of tape at you." And so this exchange went on. "Yes, you did." "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did." I had no recollection of it. Anyway, as it turns out, what had happened, because other people had seen me do it, but I had no recollection of this happening, is that whilst he was talking, and again, he used to spin a few yarns, a few lies, colourful truths to make himself look good. And apparently whilst he was talking, I picked up a roll of this adhesive tape and threw it towards his nose. Again, I had no recollection of doing this. But he insisted I did. Other people witnessed it as well out the corner of their eye. And anyway, what I feel as though occurred, because I have no memory of that, I just have the memory of having a really nice conversation, gentle conversation, nothing untoward was said. And then the next minute, I just see his reaction of him holding his nose and then accusing me of doing this. Then I became aware of, I would say, my granddad, who's in spirit, his energy. I just felt his energy and I was shown him in my mind's eye and I just felt his presence there. And at that stage, I thought, well, I know it wasn't me for definite, so it must have been my granddad. And I later had this confirmed by my spirit guide that it was. And the reason why he did it is he had enough of this gentleman spouting all these lies and showing off and showboating and winding people up and being a bit of a sneak to get one up on people, that he'd had enough listening to this nonsense. And so my granddad walked in, did a walk-in, took over my physical body, unknowing to me. I picked up this roll of tape, well, say my physical body did, but intentionally I didn't. And then he threw this at this gentleman's nose. Luckily enough, there were no sustained injuries, no bruising or blood or anything like that. It was just the shock of it. He wasn't expecting that to happen. I had no knowledge of that happening. Certainly didn't have an intention to do that because I'm very mild-mannered. I don't go about doing things like that. And then having that, trying to talk my way out of it was quite something else. Obviously, at that time, I couldn't say it was my granddad. My dead granddad's just done that. I couldn't say that. So unfortunately, I had to say, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Even though I know wholeheartedly it wasn't me that did it. But trying to explain that to somebody back then in the early 90s would have been very difficult. So it was easier just to apologize and just go down that avenue. But it was a most peculiar feeling, and that's the first and the last time that Spirit have ever done that through me or been allowed to come forward in that way. So maybe on some, looking at it on a positive level, maybe on some level, the gentleman I was talking to maybe needed that wake-up call. I don't know. And I was elected to be that vessel in order for someone to bring that wake-up call in for him. I don't know. But it was very peculiar. And I'm so pleased that hasn't happened since. But it was most unusual. So walk-ins can come in when you least expect it. Again, most of the time you don't get a pre-warning. They just kind of happen and you see the aftermath or the after conversation or the facial expressions on the people you're communicating with. And that can be very puzzling because you know you didn't say that and you have no recollection of those words or that exchange that you've just given those individuals there. So I would say to make sure you're keeping yourself grounded as an individual, make sure you're present and you're not in your thoughts all the time, because that would give Spirit an opportunity to come in, especially if you're not being present. They can take over your presence in that respect. So grounding, protection, make sure you're putting your protection around yourself, and then obviously being present there. And the way that you do this is checking in with all of your physical senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, your touch. And just every now and again, just check in with yourself, and that will keep you in your present moment consciousness. But in my experience, if Spirit have a message that wants to come through, they will come through. They will come through. But anyway, I thought this opportunity to talk about walk-ins would certainly give you a different perspective on it, and just make you aware of what to look out for, and also maybe reassess where you've been at in your life, where you've had some of these experiences without realizing that actually this was a walk-in. Can you believe it, everybody? We're in October of 2024 already. How fast is this year flying by? I don't know about anybody else, but I've certainly noticed the changes occurring. You can feel them, can't you? And there's a lot of change happening. And as you know, I do a lot of traveling, and you can actually see it and feel it in the different locations that I visit every other month there as well. So it's happening around everybody, and everybody's behaving slightly differently, when they react or simply flow with these energies. I just thought I'd throw that out there to see if anybody else has been noticing it recently. Anyway, we're going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of Spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for Spirit to bring their wisdom and communications through. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us today, as we'd like to discuss nature and the powers of nature and your deep connection to it. Many of you over the course of the last few months will have been experiencing this call to nature. This is because your vibration is heightening. Things are changing within you as an individual that requires you to connect in the source, the greatest power that connects everything and everyone and all together. And you'll be finding that this magnetic calling towards nature, particularly as a lot of you have been experiencing in recent times, the magnetic attraction to water and bodies of water such as rivers, streams, even oceans, the sea. And this is because the beautiful magnetic qualities within these elements are helping you to balance your vibration and to stay in harmony with the truth of who you are, particularly with all the chaos and uprising that is occurring on your shall we say, your earth at this moment in time, you'll be finding that there is this yearning for peace, this yearning to elect, to choose something that is in harmony with you. So what the water is doing is calling you towards it in order for you to experience deep cleansing and healing. This is ridding you of all those traumas and turmoils that you have been storing within your physical and energetic body. You'll be noticing that you feel a level of calmness and peace and serenity when you're in these environments where there's lots of water at this present moment in time. You'll be noticing that a lot of the thoughts in your mind will be being removed. These thoughts aren't necessarily serving you in the way that they once did. In many respects, they're making you go into moments of self-doubt and frustration and feeling overwhelmed. So it is only necessary that these thoughts are then, and the vibrations are then removed from your essence in order for you to flourish and shine on your pathway. A lot of you will be feeling slightly lethargic and sleepy when you're around these bodies of water. This is perfectly natural as you're going through a deep cleanse and a deep healing cycle. And so when these energies are rebalanced and put and restored back to the highest vibration, then there's going to be a change in you vibrationally. And a lot of people will notice these subtle changes, the fact that you have a degree of calmness, peace and serenity, and also that you take solace in your own company and you'll find that beautiful, peaceful state of energy. This is not to say that you're on your own. It's just saying that you'll be happy and content in your own vibration, regardless of what anybody else thinks, says, or does. This is a healthy way for you to move into these next vibrational heightening timelines. You will notice that your life will become increasingly more busier. What we mean by this is that people will sought after your counsel, your wise wisdom, your vibration, your connection, and you will not have to go chasing for it. These vibrations, these people will come to you asking for your help, your guidance. Instead of pushing them away out of fear, you are being encouraged to say yes and create space for them, because your vibration and all the effort and work that you put into it will then rub off onto those, and so on and so forth. And this is how those high vibrational codes will be transferred throughout your earth plane at this time. You have to be brave now, dear ones. Those of you that are listening to this, that are of a sensitive persuasion, instantly you will want to back away from doing this type of work. But in actual fact, you have already previously elected to come here and be this vessel for change, this vessel for light and healing. At the moment, leading up until, we would say, October of 2024, there's going to be a lot of frustration in your communities, as there's lots of things rising up to the surface, lots of untruths and misalignments. Many of you will be feeling the pinch, shall we say, financially, but we assure you, those of you that are listening to this with the purest of heart and the highest of intentions will always be looked after in that respect. You will always get everything that you need when you require it. So do not harbor any thoughts of negativity or fear-based thinking, for this will only drag you down and undo all the efforts and work that you have placed upon yourself. Instead, have that connection to source by trusting, by feeling into situations, and knowing that everything that you desire and that you need is always here for you. So why waste thought? Why waste vibrational alignment on worrying about these things? You've no need to. It's all been taken care of. So don't worry. What we also want to communicate with you today is simply to have that faith in you as an individual, your thought processes, the way that you see and perceive your experience on Mother Earth. Many of you will not have this perspective, whereas those of you that have elected to come forward will see things slightly differently to what has been prescribed to you by, shall we say, those elitists in power. You will see through that illusion, and in fact you will start and create your own pathway moving forward that aligns with you. And this will move into territories of community, of people of like mind and like souls and like hearts. There will be an abundance of love and connectivity that will be occurring during these next few months. And what we mean by saying this is there's going to be a lot of breakdowns of old relationships, of old contracts that has not served, that will not serve you moving forward. However, it has served you in the past up until this point. Now there will be a lot of, you will hear that various people have gone their separate ways to pursue a life of peace and harmony and to follow their calling. Now you'll hear this quite regularly from the most unlikely of candidates, of sources, people you expected to be in a union together forever and ever. And we say that that is the old shift, the old paradigm, the old vibration. However, these vibrations have changed, so there's more of an expansion in process. And so a lot of these connections will have to be reassessed and re-evaluated in order for the individuals to thrive on their highest timelines, serving their soul path and their soul purpose. So do watch out for a lot of this. This was also in connection with business, partnerships, maybe even work, careers. There will be infinite splits occurring where both parties recognize their own divinity and they honor that ahead of the collective. It's not a selfish act, you must understand, yet on some level it may appear that way, but we assure you it isn't, because you all benefit from the ascension process, because your experiences, the vibrations that you carry and that you hold and project in every now moment benefits one and all. So just keep your vibrations high and send that level of love, respect, peace and alignment to everything and everyone. And doing that will keep you free from any untoward attachments. This will again allow you to thrive high in harmony with the truth of who you are. So lots of changes coming in and are happening right here, right now. And we wanted to take this opportunity and just to make you aware of what they are and why they're happening, as you will not find any of this information on what you would describe as the local news or the broadcasting facilities. So we have to drip feed this information to you in any way, shape or form that we can. And in this aspect or instinct, or we allude to find the correct word. But in this instance, we're channeling it through the vessel in order to get this news, this information that is going to help you to move forward. We thank you for taking the time to listen, and we send you our love and healing. Before we do go, we would like to help with the ascension process by delivering some sound healing frequencies. We thank you and we'll look forward to communicating with you soon.
What a fantastic communication there from the world of spirit. Interesting to hear about us being called to nature, feeling that magnetic pull, as it is going to help us to balance our frequencies and also connect with the true essence of who we are. And it's also going to allow us to release some old thoughts, old emotions, old vibrations. I also enjoyed the sound healing at the end there. I certainly felt tingles running down my spine. I felt my ears ringing and my jaw buzzing. Also, my crown chakra was opening up and I could feel the pressure from behind my eyes being released, which was incredible, all by that sound healing. So I'm very grateful. Anyway, we're going to move into the next section of the show, which is this week's energy forecast reading. So sit back, relax, take notes if you wish, and enjoy this week's forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 7th of October, 2024. Now, those of you that have watched me before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the Angel Tarot card. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's energy forecast reading. So here's your card for this week. I'm now going to link into the vibration of it. First of all, I feel as though this week is going to be a definitive split. And what I mean by that is I feel as though some of the old ways, some of the old things that you used to do is going to change. And you'll find yourself actually just walking on sunshine, so to speak. And what I mean by that is taking the path of least resistance. Some of these old patterns that you used to do, maybe this was habits, maybe it was routines, will start to feel like a chore to you, and they'll feel very heavy in terms of vibration, whereas you will take the path of least resistance and go with the flow a little bit more this week. What I am being also told is that communications are going to be more direct, so to speak, and rather than worrying about what people are going to think, say, or indeed communicate back to you, you're just going to be open and honest and very direct in your communications. And you'll feel the vibration of that actually feels a lot more positive for you on your timeline. Also this week, what you will be finding is a feeling of agitation, feeling irritated. And what I feel this represents is a lack of patience. Because I feel as though you can feel a new timeline, a new experiences opening up for you on your timeline, but at the moment you're not seeing any physical evidence of that. Instead, you're actually feeling the energy behind the situation, and it's making you feel a little bit more excited. You can feel like something beautiful is on its way. Something is about to manifest right before you. However, you are being encouraged to trust the situation and also trust the feeling and know that you'll be guided into this new avenue of your life there. I keep hearing the word split very, very prominently from my guides. So this would indicate a departure from everything that's gone before this week's forecast reading. And this, like we said earlier, this can be in terms of the way that you work with people, the way that you interact with people, even the way that you operate in your day-to-day duties. Maybe old routines that you've done and serve you up until this point will feel like a chore. And you'll think to yourself, why have I been doing that all this time? I've been wasting all that time and energy. It's because you've moved on to a different timeline and you're seeing a more easier, more fruitful way of existing. What I also want to tell you is watch out for your nasal passages feeling a little bit blocked this week. And also getting, I would say, it feels like a mild migraine, the build-up of that coming on. It won't manifest into a migraine. However, the energy will feel a little bit similar. And what I feel what is happening, again, you're moving into new timelines. So all the rewiring, your DNA and all of your energetic body is changing. And so you're just observing those shifts and you're feeling that, I would say, discord with the stubborn energies that don't want to leave you. Can I also say, in terms of your heart and your feelings and romance this week, you'll be more open, like an open book. You'll be allowing people in. You won't have the fear that you once had with letting people into your life. And this doesn't matter whether you're single, whether you're married, in a relationship. At some point, we all put that masquerade on. We put that barrier up in front of ourselves. This week, we'll see you actually letting that barrier down and just being your true authentic self and being comfortable and confident in doing that. Can I also say watch out for a tickly cough as well this week? And I feel what this is occurring is it's simply your vibrations are changing in the way that you communicate. So rather than falling into an old pattern, be open to receiving new levels of communication. So I'm going to turn over the card for you for this week. At the top of the card, it says the Star. With this being said, I feel as though it's telling you to show yourself that little bit more love and compassion and actually see what a dramatic impact that you make on your surroundings, the community that you live in, and also the people that you interact with. Even if this is on an online community and a virtual community, just own that energy rather than doubting yourself and putting yourself down there. Also, the Star is talking about, I'm being shown 5 points. So the number 5. So I'd like you to check out the angel number of number 5, as I feel that will give you some additional content and information as well. Looking around the card, let's read the inscription at the bottom. It reads, have faith, the future is bright. Dreams come true, positive changes that bring an end to challenging times. The light at the end of the tunnel. Again, this goes in alignment with what we were saying earlier about you feeling a situation. However, you're not seeing it coming into physical manifestation yet, but you're being encouraged to hold that vibration, hold that knowledge that it is on its way. You're connected to it and hold that vibration there. Around the side of the card, we have the letter J-O. To me, that represents joy. It's telling you to actually hold that vibration of joy in your vibration rather than feeling guilty about feeling happy. Because in the past, you've been made to feel guilty about doing something that brings you joy and brings you peace in your life. Instead, you're being encouraged to flip the script round and focus on joy rather than fear. The other side at the bottom, we have the Roman numeral of XVI. So to me, that represents the number of 17. So I'd like you to research the angel number of number 17, as that will give you some additional content and information. Also, what I'm being told is if you add the 2 digits together, 7 and 1 is number 8. And if you can research that as well. It's also talking about the infinity symbol, the flow of life. Everything comes to you at the right time. Looking around the edge of the card, we've got this beautiful color. It's going into brown and then moving into an orange and moving into a red at the bottom. So brown's talking about being present, being grounded, being connected with nature. And also it's letting you know to get rid of the old rubbish that's no longer serving you. This could be energetic rubbish, it could be emotions, could even be tactile, physical rubbish in the home, objects that you've been hanging on to for sentimental reasons that you don't actually need or use anymore. Orange represents looking after your physical body with vitamins and minerals. If you have the opportunity to make a stew or a broth of some kind where you can obtain all of those minerals in one sitting. It's also talking about your energy levels. Watch them rise and fall this week and just go with the ebb and flow of life as you're observing that. Red is also telling you to stop, take stock, and have a look where you happen to be in your life, and then look where you can make little adaptations and changes that make your life flow with ease and grace. Looking into the artwork itself, we have this divine feminine angelic being there. This is talking about your sensitivity. It's talking about you're going to be influenced and encouraged from the world of spirit through your sensitivity there. So make sure you're observing and listening. And also this lady is releasing. She's letting go of a lot of emotions there that she's been holding on to. Like we've been saying earlier, letting go of the old in order to make space for the new to enter your life. And he's telling you to go with the flow. Don't try and work everything out. Trust the process, as everything's going to slot into place when you least expect it. You are being encouraged to follow that vibration of your heart and trust, even if you can't see it in your present reality. Also, this card represents, I believe, communications with your emotions. We said it earlier about you being more direct with your communications, and people are going to appreciate that more as well. There's also a bluebird there, the animal totem of the bluebird. So I'd like you to research that. That's also talking about communications. It's talking about messages as well online, toing and froing. So that's what I picked up for you for this week's energy forecast reading. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting, and sharing. If you've enjoyed this reading, you'd like to help and support the work that I do, I have got a buy me a coffee link either above or below this video, which is a virtual tip jar. So all of your generous donations will be gratefully received and used in accordance with the spiritual work that I do to help people raise their vibration on this spiritual pathway. If you'd like to book in with one of the services or private reading with myself, head over to my website, www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can find me and book in with me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. I'd like you to join me with my radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on www.pulsetalkradio.com with my show called From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Bye for now. It sounds like we're in for an interesting week, funnily enough. And it's weird, isn't it, how these things are changing around us so rapidly. It's nice to know that things are changing for the better, even though we can't see them right in our present moment consciousness. As Spirit were just saying there in that channeling, that we will be able to feel them and connect and link in and hold that frequency. So that is really reassuring, as I'm sure most of you that are listening, you've had a very colourful year so far, ups and downs, but it's always nice to hear that encouraging message from Spirit there. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. I hope you've managed to link in with the information and it resonated with you on some level. Obviously, all the information is channeled from Spirit or inspired from Spirit. So I feel very blessed that they allow me to take part in this weekly show where we allow those musings and sharings of information to take place. Speaking of that, if you have any questions that you would like answering from the show, then please do get in contact by heading over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can contact me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. As ever, it'd be wonderful to hear from you. And if I can answer any of the questions that you want to pose to me, either of a spiritual, paranormal, or self-help nature, then I will be more than happy to put my thinking cap on and then also ask Spirit for the replies that would help you in the best fashion there. Anyway, I want to wish you a wonderful week, whatever you happen to be doing this week. Make time for yourself and stop spreading yourself too thin is the message that I've just been gifted to share with you. So you can join me the same place, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, on this very show From Beyond Glenn Boddice every Monday, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and www.pulsetalkradio.com. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to your company next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium